See, reality cannot have a ground because if it did, it would be finite. And if reality was finite, it wouldn't be one, and it couldn't exist. It's impossible for anything to exist other than infinity. A finite thing cannot exist by itself. You can't have one thing without everything. This is a key insight you will one day come to if you're serious about this work, is that the only way to have anything is to have everything. You can't be biased. You need everything. You can't have an asymmetry within reality. So another way to put this is that reality is perfectly and infinitely symmetrical, which means that if reality was made of atoms, that would be a bias and an asymmetry. It would be wrong, and there couldn't be atoms without being other stuff. And you might say, well, maybe it's energy. Well, you can't have energy without also other stuff, and that's also a bias and an asymmetry. Ultimately, you realize it's all of those things. So people sometimes wonder, well, it's a miracle that we're here. It's a miracle that the universe exists at all. Well, in a sense, yes, but also in a sense, no. And, the logical mind wants to know what caused the universe? Where did it come from? And the answer, of course, is that it always was. It didn't come from anywhere. And you might say, well, but how could it always be? That seems magical and impossible. Well, that's the kicker, is that infinity is magic. It is the impossible made possible. See, for the universe to exist, the only way it could exist, because it is one, is that it had to create itself. And the only way the universe could create itself is if it was infinite, because it requires infinite power, because what it has to do, it has to break the very rules of logic itself to go backwards in time to cause and create itself before it even existed. It's a mindfuck. This is the ultimate strange loop that I'm explaining to you where you came from, where everything came from. Where you came from is using infinite power, you created yourself. You created yourself before you existed, therefore causing your existence. Without this infinite power, nothing could exist. With this infinite power, everything can exist. So there is not even a possibility of anything not existing. There's only the possibility of existence. That's the tautological absolute nature of infinite power or of infinity, or otherwise known as God. So what I'm telling you is that for anything to exist, literally what is necessary is the infinite power of God. Infinite power is necessary to bring even a single atom into existence. That's what the scientists and materialists and rationalists and atheists don't understand. See, everyone keeps looking for a ground for reality. But the reality is that all you're doing when you're looking for a ground is you're just unraveling the infinite fractal that you yourself are as God. You are God wondering where you came from, and as you look outside of yourself, you are literally inventing a backstory to explain where everything came from, and literally you're seeing it is the backstory created in real life. So, for example, if you go look into a mirror right now, your bathroom mirror, you might think that you're looking at yourself. That is a backstory that is being imagined by you to help you to sort of unravel the fractal, the infinite fractal that you are. If you if you go travel to the edge of the universe, you might wonder, maybe I'll reach the, some ultimate answer to the source of the universe by reaching its edge. As you're traveling through space, you're looking around, you're seeing stars and dust and whatever else is out there, aliens and stuff. As you see all that is doing is unraveling the fractal of you. See, the nature of this infinite mind is that if you keep asking it questions, where did it come from, where did it come from, where did it come from, it's always going to keep creating more backstory, more backstory, more backstory. It's an infinite backstory. It's sort of like if I told you, Luke Skywalker exists, and you would say, well, where did he come from? Me as the writer, the author, I can just keep inventing an infinite backstory. I could say, well, he came from Darth Vader, his father, Anakin Skywalker. And you might say, well, where did he come from? Well, he came from, he came from Tatooine, and his mother, and he was made by the midichlorians and the Emperor or whatever. And then where did the Emperor come from? Well, he came from some other Sith Lord who invented him. And where did that guy come from? Well, he came from somebody else. And we can keep this going. Can you see that we can keep this going forever? We can also make it perfectly consistent with itself, such that the story is perfectly consistent with no contradictions in it whatsoever. So this is what the infinite mind is doing, is it's constantly unraveling this infinite fractal of everything you see around you so that you keep getting more and more answers, finite answers. All your answers are finite because the nature of the infinite is that it spawns infinite finite stuff. And so that's what you're seeing around you. And the trick is to realize and to grasp the whole thing at once, right? What you're doing is you're unraveling it piece by piece by piece, and you're chasing your tail in an infinite circle. So what needs to happen is you need to grasp the entire thing as a whole. That's what enlightenment basically is. Grasp the entire thing as a whole instantly. Grasp that you're God, creating yourself. And stop looking for a ground. Find the groundless ground. Realize that there is no ground because you're infinite. And you can keep asking more questions forever. You can keep doing science forever. You can keep doing history forever. It's just story. You're imagining stories. It's an infinite dream. And in this dream, you can navigate the dream forever in all directions. And it's perfectly consistent. It's made up of infinite holons in all directions. And then what you're not getting, though, is that you are the ultimate holon. So there actually is an ultimate holon, and the ultimate holon is you. I. The ultimate holon is I. Not the ego I, but you, and not the ego you, but I'm talking about the God you, the God I. So in the Bible, there's a famous quote where, was it Moses? Maybe it was Moses or one of the prophets, has a communication with God on the mountaintop somewhere or whatever. Or maybe it was the burning bush, I forget. And anyways, he has this conversation with God, and then he wants to run back to his fellow villagers or whatever and tell them about this amazing conversation with God that he has. And finally he asks God, before leaving, he's like, well, who should I tell them you are? And God says, I am. Tell them I am. That's it. That's the whole highest holon. So what happened there was that Moses, or whoever this dude was, I forget his name, he communed. He opened up a channel to the highest holon, which was, of course, himself. He was stupid. He didn't understand this. He was actually talking to himself. So he opened the channel to his own higher self, which is God. And then his higher self told him, I am. And so that's that. But he didn't really understand. And the people he told also didn't understand. And the people who read the Bible also don't understand. So you are the highest holon. Ta-da! There's nothing higher than you. But I don't mean the human you. That's a false holon. So it's tricky here with these holons. because there's multiple planes and dimensions within which they operate. So you might think that, Leo, I can't be the highest holon because the highest holon is the universe as a whole. Like the Big Bang, isn't that the highest holon? It's like 100 million light years across or something. Isn't that the highest holon? No, because that's happening within the higher holon of your consciousness. It's happening to you. And so the whole trick here, this is the thing that is so counterintuitive, that's so difficult for scientists and materialists to understand, is that the highest holon is not the physical universe. It's you. You've cleverly hidden that from yourself by imagining yourself to be an animal or a human or a brain or something like that. That's a trick that you've played on yourself in order to instantiate yourself as a human. So you're imagining, you're cosplaying as a human. You've been cosplaying as a human your whole life.